Welcome into Rebound Alpha Net as we continue our series interviewing executives from around the league. I'm your host, Joshua Cox. Today we're joined by the Rebound Alpha Net Executive of the Year and Arena Bowl champion and owner of the Billings Outlaws, Steve Titus. Steve, it's good to talk to you, man.
Josh, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me on tonight.
We'll get to the Arena Bowl here in a few minutes, but just as an owner this past year, it's been crazy. What has this year been like for you personally?
Stressful. I have gray in my beard now, so it's definitely been a stressful year. You should be stressing about your football team. You should be stressing about which moves you need to make. You should be stressing about making sure you have good fan attendance at games and that your corporate partners are happy. It's a different level of stress this year. It's whether we're actually going to play football next week or whether the league is sustainable or what exactly is going on. It was a terrible year to be part of the Arena Football League, but as far as management goes. But I can tell you, as team owners, we all really united together. We all have trauma bonds over the last year. We all did a really good job of sticking together and finishing out the season. And the Billings Outlaws were lucky and skilled enough to be Arena Bowl champions.
I talked to you about a year ago this time. We were excited about the league and joining the AFL. When you look back now, what are some red flags that you saw or conversations you viewed differently that you probably say that you probably should have saw at the time?
Well, I think that as being a lawyer, that we're taught ethically that you should trust the word of another lawyer. You're supposed to take it as good as gold. And I think that was maybe being a little bit naive, is that when Lee Hutton said he was going to do something, as a lawyer, I trusted he was going to do it. I trusted there was a strategy behind what was happening. I trusted when he said that the bills would be paid, and I trusted his business model. I made a mistake, as well as the other team owners made a mistake, trusting the wrong people. Looking back on it, the red flag started when, I think a little bit even before week one, is when we heard rumors of people weren't being paid or travel arrangements were getting canceled and things like that. Like, we had heard rumors, but we all thought maybe it's just unique to that situation or unique to those circumstances. And we were all really focused on getting to where we needed to be to have a successful week one. And then once I saw the product of Louisiana, once I saw Philadelphia wearing, a Texas team wearing Philadelphia uniforms, I knew we were in trouble. And that's when, I think I did the interview with Anthony and Arena Insider of things have to change as soon as possible, because you hear fans really stating the obvious about the problems. And I think that as owners, sometimes we can get into our own little bubble of just being naive and being too trusting. But, having seen what was going on, I think that it was time to raise the whistles about what was going on and that we needed to make drastic change very quickly.
Yeah, that kind of leads into my next question I had for you. Earlier this past year, you were one of the first people to speak out about changes in the league, led the charge and promoted you to do that.
Well, I saw the writing on the wall. I mean, you see the product in Louisiana. They were changing venues at the last second. They didn't even have proper rebound nets up. You heard rumors of players getting kicked out of hotels in Philadelphia. You heard, they were having venue issues. It was a multitude of issues. And once those red flags were raised, we had to make steps to show to our fans that, yes, we're aware of the situation and we're taking the steps to address those concerns. And I mean, the fact is that our players are some of the most vulnerable in society. I mean, these guys gave up everything. Some of them gave up career. Some of them gave up being in other leagues. Some of them gave up a stable life for a hope and a dream of playing professional football. The least I can do is speak up, tell the truth, and make everyone aware of the situation, let people know we're aware of the situation, and we're making the moves properly to ensure the stability of the league and to really give some hope and some foundation and some comfort to our players to know everything's going to be okay.
We ended with 8 teams left, which will be the 8th that will continue on the AF1, which you talked a little about. We'll talk about later. What was it like working with the other owners through the last weeks of the season, and did it forge a bond working through this mess together?
First off, I couldn't help. I couldn't have done this with any other group of owners. We really gel really well. We talk to each other. We trust each other. We respect each other. We have a great group of owners in AF1. If it was any other group of owners, I don't think that it would have worked like this. If it would have been the same ownership group that was in charge of the CIF, for example, when we were in the CIF, it wouldn't have worked out. But the fact of that we have the experience, the knowledge, the ambition that we have with the owners that survived the AFL 2024, it just shows that we're really doing the right things and we have the right people to move AF1 forward in 2025.
When you look back at everything the league went through this season, your team seemed to be able to block out the noise and just go win football games. What made this group special to you as an owner, and does winning the championship mean more to you because of the circumstances surrounding it this year?
Absolutely. I think a lot of this is attributable to Coach Walker and Coach Bonner. I mean, these two guys are the two of the biggest veterans in the sport, and this wouldn't have happened without them. Also, we had a group of guys that trusted the front office. They trusted Coach Walker. They trusted Coach Bonner. They trusted me. They trusted that we were going to do things the right way and get the right people where they needed to be to do what we needed to do to win a championship. And I think the best thing that happened was everyone underestimating Billings. Billings being called a tier 3 team. Billings, saying it's a fluke that we keep winning games. That we don't have these vets on our team, so we can't be trusted. But the fact of the matter is I put my coaching staff up against any other coaching staff ever in arena football and say we're some of the best. We have IFL Hall of Famers, AFL Hall of Famers. I trust my coaching staff, and it just shows that a couple of AFL vets coaching can bring in a group of rookies. I mean, I know we had one veteran of the AFL in Danny Southwick, and we won a championship. And so trusting the right people, making sure that everyone needs to be where they are, and having a stable product was absolutely what we needed to do to win an Arena Bowl championship.
The Arena Bowl was played at a shopping mall, which was a unique venue. What was the experience like for you and your team? And would you entertain the idea of doing something in a neutral site venue again? What are your thoughts on the future of championship games?
Well, the Arena Bowl being played in the mall was it was a good product. It looked really well on TV. It was something different. The natural light is something you don't get in an arena. It was really cool. But the cost was outrageous. I mean, that game probably cost, with travel, hotel, meals, all in, probably close to $400,000. That was stupid. That was the most ignorant idea I've heard in arena football. And it's even more ignorant because Chris Chetty and G6 promised they were going to pay the bills. I got an email today from the Hilton Hotels in New Jersey saying they still haven't been paid. They've been trying to reach Chris Chetty and he won't return emails. It was an ignorant idea if the funding wasn't there to support it. So who'd it come down to? Myself, Albany, and Jeff Fisher to save the game. That's who had to pony up this money to make sure the game actually played like it was going to, because G6 and Chris Chetty couldn't get over the border and were nowhere to be found. You see, they didn't show up to the game. I mean, I don't know where they were. You think if you put all this time, energy, and effort into a product and you're the CEO of this product, you'd actually show up to the game. What do you think it would look like if Roger Goodell didn't show up to the Super Bowl? Everyone would think it's really fishy. Everyone would be like, what's going on? And everyone would just wonder what kind of product they're actually supporting. And really, it's been nonstop emails over the last 2 months since the Arena Bowl of, hey, there's this vendor that hasn't been paid for the Arena Bowl. Hey, there's this person that hasn't been paid for the Arena Bowl. Chris Chetty and G6 are just a bunch of liars, just like Lee Hutton and company. And so I want nothing to do with them. I want people who do what they're going to say and say what they're going to do. And Chris Chetty and G6 aren't those people. And that's why we decided to go forward with AF1. Do I wish we would have had the game in Billings, Montana? Absolutely. My guys worked their asses off to earn that game. They beat everyone that they could have beat except Orlando. I mean, that made the playoffs. They beat everyone. So at the end of the day, they should have had that game in Billings. It cost me a lot of money not having the game in Billings. We would have sold out Metro Park. We had 11,000 people there. We would have made a ton of money, merchandise sales, ton of money in tickets. It screwed over Billings without a doubt. But at the end of the day, I was being a good playing partner and trusting people, G6, that knew nothing about arena and indoor football, and it shows. And so I'm proud of the teams that decided to come forward with AF1, and we are looking forward to this product that we plan to put forward in 2025. It's an international product with Monterey being announced today. I've read a lot of things online about whether AF1's expanding too quickly or whether we're doing proper expansion. I can tell you that there will be no one in this league that owes other team owners money. I see another league out there that just has a team in Louisiana. Well, one of their team owners I have a judgment against for $500,000. I would never let a team owner in a league that has screwed over other team owners in other markets. We want a quality product with sustainability. And I can tell you that we don't have any league-owned teams. We have very, very well-qualified individuals that are owning our teams that have the sustainability necessary to make sure that their teams can move forward for generations to come. And so all things considered, I think AF1 has the best blueprint, has the best ideas to make sure that these teams are sustainable, that our teams are either breaking even or turning a profit every year. Because I can tell you there's no league besides the NFL that plays football that turns a profit every year. But I can tell you if we don't have the right people, if we don't have the right pieces in place, then no one does. I can tell you with Jeff Fisher, Jerry Kurz, Gary Compton, and the whole AF1 staff, if we can't do it, no one can. And so I'm looking forward to what AF1 can put together in the next few years to make this the premier non-NFL football league in America.
You came in a couple of years ago. The franchise had some major issues when you first bought it. 2 years later, you turned it into a champion on the field. You have seemed to have had some great hires. What has been a key to turning the thing around and building something special in Billings?
Cedric Walker. Without a doubt, Cedric Walker. I trust that man with my life. Him and I talk multiple times every day. We've all been on vacations together. He's like the uncle that I've never had. So I couldn't have done it without Coach Walker. He's put the right people in the right places. I take his advice. I trust him. None of this would have ever happened without Coach Walker. I owe that man a lot. Billings owes that man a lot. He's an integral part of the Outlaws' success in such a quick time period. I mean, if you look at this, there are other teams that played arena football last year that were more familiar with this rule set, that were more familiar with what kind of game we were playing. We played indoor football last year. We played in the CIF. It was a different rule set, a different player. But here we are, year one. We went 9-1 and won the Arena Bowl.
Let's look towards the future and talk about the move to the AF1. We talked about it a little bit earlier, AFL CEO Chris Chetty told Arena Insider about a week ago that the owners hit a crossroads with him and he wanted him to pay off all the debt to continue moving forward. Take us through the last month or so. What has the process been like and what ultimately led to the decision to split from the AFL and create a new league?
Well, frankly, between Lee Hutton and Chris Chetty, former AFL team owners are out approximately $4 million. Those are lies, deceit, fraud, fake promises. And we continue to see that up until last week, today. I mean, it's just continuous lies, continuous people saying and doing things that they have no intention of doing. I mean, I can tell you that there's an employee of the AFL that put over $100,000 on her credit card, her personal credit card, with Chris Chetty making promises that he would make those payments. He made a promise in a league meeting in July saying that they would be paid off. No one's received a dime. It's a bunch of lies. It's a bunch of deceit. It's a bunch of fraud by G6. They are no better than Lee Hutton. They're no better than anyone else that doesn't say what they're going to do. And so we want nothing to do with that. Those problems can stay with the AFL. We want nothing to do with it.
Was there any talks of buying the trademarks from G6 that restart at the AFL?
I don't know what it's worth, to be honest with you. We're always open to conversations about it. But you have people that own trademarks that don't know anything about arena football, that don't know anything about indoor football, that don't know anything about an American market. And look where it's gotten them. They got them with a whole bunch of owners that are gearing up for a massive lawsuit to where they'll never do business in America again until they pay the debts that are legally owed to them. This is disgusting. This is not businesslike, and we don't want to be associated with this. I've never been more disgusted with the likes of Chris Chetty and Lee Hutton as I am. We deserve better. We saved the trademark. We put a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of effort into this, and to be continued to be lied to and continue to be misled is disgusting. I mean, it's just this scum of the earth type situation. I mean, we just don't want anything to do with it. We want simple footing. We want a simple league, and we want to play good quality football, sustainable football, to where these teams can last for generations and generations to come.
For those that don't know, when the original AFL went bankrupt after the 2008 season, when it returned in 2010, it was originally supposed to be called Arena Football 1, so this name is steeped in history to some degree. Why this name do you believe this league can prosper without the AFL branding?
I think the Arena Football 1, as you said, does have a history, and that's why we decided to pick it up. There's no one that owns it. Arena Football 1 LLC owns it now, which we own, and so I think it was a no-brainer. Plus, it has a nice ring to it. It sounds really good. AF1. I mean, it has a good ring to it. It rolls off the tongue well. It was a no-brainer when we decided to rename. When we were looking at lists of potential names, Arena Football 1, without a doubt, was the top one to go to. Plus, the networks have some identity with it. I think AF1 was slated to be on NFL Network before the AFL trademarks were repicked up. So I think when we were looking at team name or league names, AF1 was definitely at the top of the list.
Yeah, we're going in, you talked about a little bit earlier, we're going in to have some international markets early on, which definitely helps grow the brand of Arena Football. But is this a great idea from a business perspective when it comes to cost? And can you share anything about the business model and how that will work compared to the past?
I think the budget still is set to be approved. We're set for a meeting here in 2 weeks in Chicago, and at that time we'll be going over the league budget for approval. I think a big piece of the budget is, network television, the cost of it. The production cost is expensive. I mean, it costs $50,000 or so to produce a game and have it on TV. And so I think it depends on what kind of national sponsorships we're able to line up, what kind of deals we're able to get. And at that point, we'll be able to determine how many games will be on national TV and how we should perform the product. I mean, I think one thing that I'm very eager about with our AF1 owners is that nothing's off the table when we're looking at production. For example, I was watching the Orlando Nashville game, and during that game, I saw an interaction between Nashville's coach and the White Hat where they start yelling about one of the calls. And they start saying, one of the players had their foot out, and he goes, well, I'm going to challenge it. And they just had this really, really good interaction. And I think we need to see more of that. I think we need more people mic'd up. I think if you were to do that on NFL Sundays, I don't think anyone's going to argue about that. And so it's a new dimension to the game that I think we need to focus on to draw the attention to arena football that's not currently focused on.
What have you learned from the past couple of years being in the arena indoor space? What do you think is needed to work towards stability as you enter a third different league in 3 years?
I think, one, we need to make sure we're in the right league. We need to be asking the right questions, and that we're a little bit more skeptical of people and ownership groups. I think, naturally I trusted Lee Hutton because he's a lawyer and he talked the talk. We trusted Chris Chetty because he came in a time of need and talked the talk. But this time around, when we do things, we're going to have to be a little bit more cautious, a little bit more skeptical, a little bit more judicious, prudent, to make sure that we're trusting the right people. And I think we've started that process really in depth with our meetings in Nashville. That led to Jeff Fisher being our commissioner. And so, Commissioner Fisher is the absolute right person to be that leader. I mean, the credibility that Jeff has in the football industry is 0 to none. So I'm really excited about Jeff leading us moving forward. Jerry Kurz, one of the founders of the Arena Football League, longtime commissioner. He knows who's who and what's what. And then Gary Compton, our director of football ops. I mean, he's just a great guy, and he knows the arena football industry. He knows how to deal with coaches. He knows how to deal with owners. I couldn't do it without Compton. And so a great group we have, great ownership groups, and to make sure that we have the right ownership groups moving forward to say, hey, we're not in this for 1 year, we're not in this for 2 years, but we're in this for the foreseeable future to make sure this thing works. I think that's I'm tired of the stress it comes with being a league. I'd rather be stressing about my team or my law firm or other stuff I have going on, not about people not keeping true to their promises and the league structure.
That kind of leads me into my next question. You're a successful attorney and businessman. You have a good life. I would assume you've lost a lot of money this season. After all you've been through this season, why do you keep wanting to be a part of this arena indoor space?
Yeah, I love it. I love the opportunity here. Yeah, we lost a lot of money. I think every team lost a lot of money this year. When we started totaling up losses, it showed team owners losing combined around $4 million, some more than others. It's insane. I mean, what we could do with this money. I've had many conversations with other owners saying we could be vacationing the world, staying in the nicest hotels, flying first class everywhere instead of owning a football team and not stressing about it. But right now I'm young, 36, and so I have a lot of energy left in me. There might become a day where I just get tired of this. Like it's fun. I'll be a champion forever. Um, I still have more I want to accomplish. One day I'd like to be a commissioner. Maybe I'm learning from the best there are right now with Jeff and Jerry. I want to see, to some degree, and I hate to say this, it's ego. I want to see these things turn around. I want to see the league prosper. I want to see these teams prosper. I want to, be one of the only league that we have profitable teams making money every year. And I think that we have the people to make that happen. And again, if we don't have them, no one has them. And so I'm really looking forward to the future, and I'm really looking forward to what we can do in the next few years with AF1.
Yeah. Yeah, I had Firebirds president Jeff LeBlanc on a couple weeks ago. Their slogan this year is Forged in the Fire. He said that might be the story of the league this season and beyond. Do you think with all the teams that's been through that might come out stronger through this?
If this doesn't make us stronger, nothing will. Um, I know Albany is going to come in with a chip on their shoulder. They're not going to like to go 0-2 against a random town in Billings, Montana. So I know that Mike, Andy, Jeff, and Coach Ware up there are going to be gunning hard for us this year, and rightfully so, because they were the cat's meow, but the Outlaws had something else to say about that. And they're great people there. I've really gotten to know them really well, and I think that we have a lot to do. We are by no means ready tomorrow for football. We still have our rule books we got to finalize. We still got to finalize our transactions, how we're going to run these things. I like the fact that we're implementing new software to run transactions. We're running new software to do a lot of automation into our league to make things simpler for owners to free up their time. We're looking out for the ownership group here. In the past when under Lee Hutton's AFL, there was no owner input in anything. It was very much in the legal world, we call it adhesion, where it's kind of here's how it is, take it or leave it. And it failed miserably. I mean, people trying to run arena and indoor football teams that don't know what the hell they're doing. And the same thing with Chris Chetty. He thought he knew what he was doing too, but he doesn't understand American arena football. And so we have the right people, we have the right experience, we have the right knowledge, we have the right connections to really move this product forward. And I really expect us to be the premier non-NFL football league in the next 3 or 4 years.
What do you personally want to see from this new league as we look into the future? And what can you tell us about the possibility of what fans will see this season that they did not see last year?
Right. And I think that we'll see a lot more of that once our rule book gets released. Our competition committee is finished forming to really make sure that our rule set is what our fans want. And, this is where I think that some of the more veteran markets will lead a little bit more than even Billings will. My fans in Billings really don't, they know the rules, but they really don't know the rules. They love the rebound nets. That's something that was great coming from indoor football is the rebound nets. Everyone loves the rebound nets. You don't hear one complaint about the rebound nets. But Ironman rules, they really don't know about people playing both sides. The free substitution, they really don't know about that. So I tend to trust, Coach Walker, Coach Bonner, and Orlando, Albany, some of the more veteran markets to really lead that conversation because their markets know more about what their fans want in terms of rules. Because if we keep going like we're going in Billings, eventually our fans are going to have that knowledge base as well and want certain things. And so I trust them a lot more on that. I anticipate more fan input into rules, more suggestions into rules, more listening sessions, and things of that nature to make sure that we're doing what our fans want. I mean, it's as simple as having, group Zoom meetings with fans to talk about rule changes, to answer questions, to have more town hall forums. I mean, we could do all this on Zoom. And so I really expect a new level of engagement with our fans that we've not seen before in professional sports. So that's one thing that I'm really looking forward to moving forward. We're also meeting with, we have networks coming to our owners conference here in a few weeks. And so, they're going to talk to us about what their research shows that people who are watching professional sports are looking for, whether it's gambling, whether it's certain interactions with players or coaches or what. And we're going to do everything we can to fiscally incorporate those into our game. I mean, we have to do a cost benefit analysis. Is it the cost of miking up the refs and the coaches worth the added enjoyment of the fans? And that's something we have to put a value on and determine what we need to do. And even if, say, hey, we don't broadcast every game on CBS Sports or TNT or something of that nature, even our own broadcasts on YouTube, what kind of minimum standard are we going to have? And so I've always tried to have my broadcast in Billings be I want it to be better than Albany. I thought Albany had probably one of the best broadcasts. I always said to my broadcast people, I want mine to be better than Albany. And so, we have to set that standard. How much would it cost to mic someone up? How much would it cost to have a production person add in that audio when needed? So there's a lot of very good things that we're looking at in terms of our product, and we're asking the right questions. We have the right people that are answering those questions, and I really expect a great product for 2025.
We talked about the growth of your franchise since you took over and how far it's come. As you look towards the future of your franchise, what are your goals as you continue to improve and grow your brand? Where do you want to see growth specifically in Billings in the next few years?
Josh, when you interviewed me last year, you said, where do you expect to see Billings in 5 years? And I said, going for a sixth championship. And I think the answer is still the same. I expect to be going for another championship. However, Billings has to be a sustainable franchise. And one of the ways to do that is obviously with corporate partnerships and with ticket sales. We saw a great turnout for our playoff game against Nashville, the nationally televised game on CBS Sports. We experimented with a later start time. It worked. So we need the fans to turn out. We need to be rocking and jamming Metro Park every game. And so, with great partners like TDS Fiber, we're going to make that happen. And so every year we see our ticket sales increase, our season ticket sales increase. And so I anticipate that we will do what we need to do to make Billings a financially sustainable franchise, while keeping in mind the steps necessary of how we did what we did to win the Arena Bowl. I expect the teams are going to be even better next year. We're going to have even more people to play against. It's not going to be a cakewalk by any means, but I can tell you Coach Walker is already scouting out where our flaws were, where our great pieces were, and he's already, he was on vacation here a few weeks ago, but I can tell you he was watching film the whole time. And so he's doing what he needs to do to make sure that we're in contention for a AF1 year one championship title.
Do you have a message for the Arena or Outlaws fans you want to get out there?
Yeah, to the Arena fans, without a doubt, thank you for sticking with us. Our goals here are accountability and transparency in all aspects of our game, whether it be the actual game itself, whether it be operations, whether it be the rules. We want to be as transparent as possible because that's what people expect these days. With the internet, Twitter, Facebook, there's no reason not to be transparent. There's no reason not to publish the rulebook. There's no reason not to have more community or fan engagement, partnership engagement, and things of that nature. And so to the Arena world, thank you for sticking it out with us. We promise to improve on our 2024 product moving forward. To Billings Outlaws fans, get ready for 2025 because everyone's going to be gunning for us. So we're going to need you at the games. We're going to need your support. We're going to need it to be loud. We're going to need our ninth man. And so But I'm very thankful for Billings for sticking with us through the ups and downs of the last 3 years. And I told him I would bring him home a championship. I said we would rebuild, we'd refocus, and we'd improve. And we proved to Billings Outlaws that we were in the 33 Arena Bowls. Billings is the smallest market to ever win an Arena Bowl championship, and we'll make sure to be the smallest market to go back to back. And so I anticipate Coach Walker, Coach Bonner, and our coaching staff doing what needs to be done to make sure that we're in that championship game come next July.
The last question, are you guaranteeing a championship then?
I'm not guaranteeing anything. I'm going to guarantee Coach Walker is going to do what he's going to do to not be tier 3. And I don't want to jinx anything, but I can definitely say that our players will have the same chip on their shoulder that they had last year. And I can tell you that the general consensus of Albany cakewalking to an Arena Bowl championship isn't going to be around thanks to the Billings Outlaws. And it's going to be that same conversation come this spring.
Yeah. I just want to point out I'm only one of the only ones that believed in you that you were going to be good this year. So.
You know, it was you and Tim Capper. Tim, even in a podcast, predicted we'd be one of the 4 to contend for an Arena Bowl championship. And so, no, I'm very aware of who was on our side. And as Coach Walker says, we took receipts the whole year over who was saying what about us. And I remember the day that I heard we were tier 3, I sent that immediately to Coach Walker. And we knew the team we had all along. I mean, we knew the potential we had. And I knew that I had the best coaching staff ever to coach an arena football field. And so, Coach Walker and Coach Bonner proved in their first year of coaching, head coaching arena football, that they brought home a championship. I can't wait to see what they do in year 2.
Steve, we appreciate your time, man. Thanks for all you do for arena football.
Josh, thanks for all you do for arena football. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I love talking about this with everyone. It's one of the few things that gives me joy in life is to talk about arena football and talk about the Billings Outlaws. But I really enjoy what I do. I really enjoy the product. I really enjoy going to the games. I mean, it's a lot of fun. I just want to spread that joy with everyone. And it's always fun to win, and it's always fun to win championships. And I can tell you, Coach Walker, Coach Bonner enjoy that fun as well. So thank you for all you do. We wouldn't have the viewership, we wouldn't have the fans, we wouldn't have it without you, Anthony, and everyone that covers indoor and arena football. We're very thankful to have the following that we do.